Hello. Hello. Welcome. This is Lady Winnie. I am a Ugandan by birth. I'm back to chat a little bit more about what's going on in Uganda. I have a few updates. I hope you can hear me well. I didn't come yesterday because I had some things going on, but I'm going to combine both yesterday's news and today's so that we can catch you up to speed. Like they say, you can't tell a bee that honey is very sweet. Neither can you convince a fly that feces are not good for you or stinky. I have a very few updates about some UPDF soldiers. As you have seen, there's been 2 within a week's period of time that have been killed or dead. And there's supposedly somebody else who is critical, if not gone, but they're not yet going to announce it. There's supposed to be 3 other people. There was a woman today who had been incommunicado with somewhere in a safe house. She's supposed to be a UPDF general. And word has it that Muhoozi has personally executed her. Muhoozi used a bayonet to cut her stomach open, and she bled to death today. Reason being, that woman is suspected of having let His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu exit Gomba. I believe that's where Magere is, or where our president's family hails from. It is sad, but yet again, you know, if they cannot realize that they are in danger, as much as they've been warned, I feel like they're ending up deserving what they're coming across right now. The UPDF by now should know better to join or be on the side of Ugandans, because they know that these people don't like them. They don't care about them. In fact, they're better off having them gone. So several UPDF soldiers are right now being held, over 100, being held because somehow His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu was able to get by them with their knowledge or not. He was able to successfully bypass their security. So Muhoozi, Museveni, and the rest of the Security Council believe that these people are giving Kyagulanyi some sort of protection, or they're letting him exit freely in pretense of staying watch for Museveni's family. The other people that should be warned, or if you can, anybody who knows them, Katumba Wamala is the next target. Elwelu is a target. 2 other names that I will mention when I get to my notes here. But several UPDF leaders or executives or Security Council members are being executed day in, day out. What their strategy is, they will change guards for them. If they had certain drivers or they had certain security detail that they traveled with, Museveni and Muhoozi and the team have removed those security and switched them with Rwandese type people who execute without mercy. So we're going to see a lot more UPDF soldiers vanish. Today we saw a general who passed on from Masaka. I think that's where he hails from. Yesterday or 2 days ago, there was another. So keep watching, because if they don't learn, like I said, you can't tell a fly that feces is not good for them. In fact, you can't convince them. neither can you tell a bee or convince a bee otherwise that honey is extremely sweet. So they're going to have to pick their poison, because we're trying to let them know, but that's all we can do, and that's the best we can do. People like Katumbo Wamala and Eluelu have been very braggant about being part of the UPDF and continuously performing atrocities against Ugandans. You saw Eluelu in Kasese. He killed people from the kingdom like they were animals, because Muhoozi and Museveni sent them to go and do what they do. So let them continue eating feces, because we're trying to tell them that honey is better, but they don't want to listen. So until then, we're going to see more of them just all of a sudden dead and no explanation. So the next thing is, Museveni wants to meet all outgoing NRM and incoming NRM elected members of parliament. What he would like to communicate to them is to ask them to bring at least 300 youth or young people to come and meet with him. His goal is to try to legitimize his presidency. That is Museveni's biggest fear, because he knows that everybody is quiet and all we are doing is asking for our win, which we must get. He's trying to look legitimate. He wants all these youth because it is time for the youth. It is not time for Museveni's old-timers to shine. No matter what they say, however they come up, they are definitely not going to outshine the youth, because the youth are the current population of Uganda. So he wants to get a bite of that. He's trying to get the youth to come to him and parade and celebrate and jubilate, as if to show that they were part of his win and that he's a legitimate winner of the presidency in Uganda. That is not going to work, because a lot of youth, even if they may act as or act as if, they're not really for Museveni. What they're going to do with these youth people is they have printed, as you know, they have the powers to print money in Uganda. They've printed a lot of 50,000 notes. Those notes are fake because they all have the same serial number. So that means when they give them that money, it will look good. They can use it to trade here and there, but they can't take it into banks. Eventually what will happen is, with time, you know how Museveni comes like a savior, then like the devil the next day or so. With time, these people will get captured for having fake notes. It'll be easy to accuse and remand. But for now, he's going to have several youth members be brought, give them a lot of money. All this money will be fake because they will all have the same serial number, which makes them unusable or unacceptable in banks. Okay? Like we said, Museveni is not for Ugandans, and I wish Ugandans would pay attention and not follow him anymore. This man is a danger. He doesn't want us to exist. What he would like to see is an end to anything, anybody, Ugandan. So keep watch. When they come to you, calling you to go to Museveni, this, that, and the other, please don't go, because there are other ways that they're trying to eliminate people. I'll also tell you that a bit later. There is something about the Northern Bypass, which Museveni would like to leave for himself and his family's travel only. In a disguise, they're going to say the Northern Bypass is under construction. But really what they mean is Museveni is afraid that anytime he's going to get attacked in the State House, he knows that anytime the Western world is coming for him, could be the Western world, could be an army from somewhere, could be an East African army, you just never know. All efforts are, like I said, in the works to make sure Museveni is not existent in Uganda and is not the president of Uganda. And he knows that better than any of us. We can feel it. We're happy about it. But Museveni lives by the minute. He can't tell what tomorrow brings. He can't tell what next week brings. So he's living for now, for today, for right this minute, whether he's asleep or having dinner. That is the only time Museveni is assured of his breath. So he's very fearful and is anticipating an attack on him at any point in time and in the very near future. So he wants to be able to access the Northern Bypass when that emergency comes for him. He wants it to be used only by him and his family because he's afraid of Ugandans being on the street or using that bypass, having him, caught up in traffic or whatever when he's trying to make his exit. So when you see the northern bypass being used or actually being marked as under construction, it is not really. What he's trying to do is to secure it for only him and his family's transportation, not Ugandans. Again, we get to see that this man could care less how we live, what we do with our life, if we can access services. Imagine children who have to go through there to go to school now have to, change a way of getting to school, which makes it further. But he doesn't care. All he wants is for his family and himself to thrive in Uganda. Another arrangement he has made is to meet all boda boda and taxi vendors on the street at Kololo airstrip. He's going to have them come and meet there because the plan is to send these people off the streets. As you have seen, people have come out saying we need to get people off the street. KCC has become further active. The reason why they're doing that is so that eventually Museveni comes as the savior, like he did in Luero after killing people. He would come. Hi, Mom. My mother-in-law is watching. Well, that's nice. Sorry about that. But so what he would like to do is to come back and win the hearts of people who are in and win the hearts of these people, the boda boda people, the taxi people, street vendors. He wants to come and say, oh, you can't go, you can continue trading. And if they decide, if they're being pushed from the side and Museveni is saying this, what Museveni will then say is, I'm going to give money into your SACCOs and in form of PDM. But you all know PDM does not help anyone. And the SACCOs, that money is tied up and it's not useful. Why don't Ugandans just thrive on their own, look for their own jobs, build their own families how they wish, work hard? We do our work. We care about our people. We care about what we do. We want our children educated. Why doesn't he let us do as we wish? Okay. The other thing, Janet is very upset. Mrs. Museveni is upset because Ugandans are calling her names and she doesn't want to be the Minister of Education anymore because she feels tired. She knows she's not qualified. I mean, she's over 80 years old, can hardly function, is, inappropriate for the position. So she has indicated that she doesn't want to be the Minister of Education anymore. She has asked Museveni to take over her speeches and her work, but Museveni has said, no, I'm also having my own struggles, so I want you to go and continue with what you're doing. So the plan after that is that because they have proposed that Natasha becomes president of Uganda, in this transition that they're faking, they want to make look real. They want to have their daughter become the president of Uganda because, as you know, the son is inappropriate now. Somehow they have known that because of his delusional tweets, because of his insults, because the Western world has known how ambiguous he is, they have decided that Muhoozi cannot be president, so they want to front Natasha. And that looks good on them, according to them, because they think that Natasha will then become or come hailed as a first woman president of Uganda. But then again, a woman from the same family. What we're trying not to have is a dynasty situation, is a family cabal, which we don't want happening. We don't want Museveni and anything Museveni. Not his animals, not his family, not his what, not anyone from that family, not any Rwandese. What we want or whom we want is His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. So if Janet truly comes off that pedestal, if she's off being Minister of Education, they want to front Natasha. They will appoint her and make her Minister of Education. What Natasha will then bring on the table, or as proposed that she will do to win Ugandans' hearts, is Museveni, first of all, is advised to strongly not support education. fail Ugandans in form of education. You've seen that already. The standard of education has completely been eroded. Makerere University used to be one of the best in Africa. You know, Makerere was highly recognized. We had schools, those Catholic schools that used to be really good. You know, Madeira, we had Kisubi, we had Iganga girls, we had several different schools, in fact, in several different districts. The schools were performing really well. And then they ended up at Makerere studying, you know, courses that mean so much. When you came or you left the country and came to another country, you know, we were like the expatriates that went out with the knowledge and fit in the right place and not have to start from zero. But not anymore, because most people, you know, education is really poor. The standards, primary schools, you've seen the condition of schools. Children have nowhere to sit in their classrooms, you know, the roofs leaking or you know, just everything going wrong, especially with UPE, because UPE is a public education program which is meant to further worsen education, especially for the younger children in Uganda. So we are seeing a lot of worse products in education in Uganda because this woman, being the wife of the president, old, not educated, run this ministry. She has been an absolute failure. And the daughter will fail this further. So anyways, in a way to hoodwink Ugandans, the daughter will then try to shut down private schools, which have high requirements, high fees, and also tax them heavily. The reason they want to do that is to try to get people away from private schools into their UCE or UPE schools, which are in worse shape. You know, they just want to maintain a decline and a steeper decline in education. So look to that when you see the news coming here and there about, oh, Natasha, this and that, Janet retiring. Truly, they want to derail education further. Okay. The other thing is that there's a picture that was posted by Bobby Wine. Did anybody see it? He posted a picture at State House. That picture has sent shockwaves to everyone in State House. They thought that maybe he was actually in the proximity of the building. They thought he may be around. They tried to replay. They tried to use Google. They tried to use AI. They tried to establish where exactly he is. And until now, I don't think they've recovered from that photo. But again, they are completely bothered by the fact that they don't know where Bobby Wine is. Museveni possibly thinks Bobby Wine could be under his bed. You know, he could be in the kitchen, could be in State House, anywhere. Because as you know, the two generals who are no longer with us now were executed in suspicion that they let Bobby Wine go through or somehow supported Noop. In fact, you have heard Namere, the one who in Masaka, the one who had the election redone, obviously by being appointed by Museveni to let her have the win. That lady in a video said that that gentleman actually did help Noop win some of the parts that they won. So we know that those generals went because of Bobby Wine. So how about we try and convert the rest of them, talk to them and see if possibly, you know, whether they like it or not, they're going to either live or die based on the Rwandese suspicion of what they are doing, for Bobby Wine. So Museveni really doesn't care who is doing what. All he wants is anything that leads to getting Bobby Wine or capturing him. So back to this, that picture that Bobby Wine posted at State House has shaken them and continues to do so. But that is a good thing. So President, wherever you are, you're doing a great job just being non-existent, okay? Being away from their public eye. They're so worried, they're so scared, but we know that you are the legitimate president of the country, Uganda. The other thing is that their family is, Museveni's family has a lot of disguised wealth ownership through proxy, where they have like arcades or businesses or, all these things that they steal from Ugandans. They give them to people who are Ugandan or people who Ugandans will respect as, recognizing as those are their wealth. Some of those are Sudir Ruparelia, Ham Chigundu. There's a few others. So what they're trying to do, because Museveni knows what is chasing him and he doesn't know where it's coming from, he has decided to move his assets. The whole family is going to move their assets away from the current owners. So you will see people like Ham Chigundu and Sudir Ruparelia having their names scraped off ownership of certain assets in Uganda, only because they want to repurpose, they want to change proxy of owners so that Ugandans take their eyes off, knowledge, or take their minds off knowledge that those assets are still under their names. They're going to pretend like it's gone. Somebody else now owns it, or they sold them, or the Sudirs are no longer successful like they used to be. But in any case, the Sudirs and the former owners, the former proxies at that time, will also be dealt with. The plan is to put them out of this world, like Museveni does to everyone who he has finally used and is done with. So Chigundu, Ruparelia, soon you'll hear that something's happened. Like his son got burned in that accident. Who knows what happened? Many suspicions goes towards the first family again. So watch for that. They're trying to change. Everything they're doing now is to try to prepare for an escape in case things change. They're going to change these assets onto names of Rwandese people or Indians who have, there's a lot of Indians in Uganda. Some will be Rwandese, some will be Indians who have relative Ugandan names. And then they will also try to do away with the wealthy Baganda, especially in Buganda. The goal of Museveni that is really big this time is to try to take over land. And land is most productive currently where they've established in Buganda. So they want to try to clear all those wealthy original Ugandans will no longer exist. Okay, when I say that, it means Museveni is going to try to take them out of this world. It's awful, but I'm telling you this so that you can keep watch, pay attention. If you know anybody, if you have any relatives who may be involved in, they're doing this and that, advise them, give them this information so they can take heed, because